I've been busy the last few days, so I wasn't able to make my video review of 24 Season 7, Episode 7. As such, the details of the episode are not as clear in my mind as they have been in previous reviews, so we'll see how things go in this video. This episode goes from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. and features, the same storylines that we're used to from the 24 season thus far. Most of the episode actually does not even include Jack Bauer, so I thought that was kind of an interesting twist. In fact, even though I feel like a lot happened in this episode, particularly at the time I was watching it, when you look back on the episode, really not that much happened, but I don't mind it, because a lot of the episode involved the characters sneaking around like in, Splinter Cell or Metal Gear Solid, and that works even though there's not a lot to say about it. So, as we left off, the Matobos are being transported to Dubaku, and wherever his secret base is, with a transmitter on him, and, Jack, Tony, Bill, Chloe, they're tracking him. They're obviously doing this trying to get their hands on the CIP device, get the Matobos back. We know what's going on here, so... Oh yeah, and Renee Walker's with them too, so... They find the hideout and then sneak through. This is where all the Splinter Cell stuff happens for the most part, just kind of sneaking through. Most of the episode will be like this, so there isn't a ton to explain, but again, I don't mind it because it is action-related stuff going on. Their presence, their arrival, is seen on various video cameras, which does two things. It blows their cover, and it does spook the bad guys. I thought this part was kind of weird because I thought, taking out a video camera would have been a fairly obvious thing to do when you first arrive at the location, but whatever. I guess I can understand how maybe you don't see it, maybe it's hidden, maybe you forgot, I guess. But it doesn't really matter for our purposes. So their arrival, which is detected moments later, prompts Colonel Dubaku and his men to disengage the CIP device. He had been using the CIP device to overload a chemical plant in Ohio City that would have killed close to 20,000 people. He begins this process, which does indeed cause the plant to go into overload, and obviously everybody's at risk. And we get introduced to a new character who gets about 10 minutes of screen time before kicking the bucket. The plant manager, the chemical plant manager, I cannot remember his name, is called by the FBI, and, basic information is exchanged about the nature of the incident that is developing and what can be done. And he ends up going into the tank chamber or whatever to try and relieve some of the pressure manually to buy some time, because it's going to blow in about any minute at the time he does this. So he goes in there, he disengages some of the pressure, which does buy everybody some time, but he dies in the process. And, this worked. This worked for me because we got introduced to this character, and he had some idiosyncrasies, some personality that is not just generic. He did some interesting things in his 10 minutes. His way of speaking, his personality, it was good. And by the time he died, like 10-15 minutes after we first saw him, I felt kind of bad because he was a character I kind of knew, and I kind of felt bad when he did die. He ends up dying, turning off the relieving pressure in the chemical room because he inhales chemicals. However, he is the only one to die, and this works well again because had 20,000 people that I had never seen and not cared about and been completely irrelevant to the story, if they had died, it would have been hard to get into that because I've never seen these people, I don't know these people, they have no relevance. But this one guy dying mattered because I knew him. I had seen him for 15 minutes, but still. So I thought that was good. What else have we got here? And in the meantime, the arrival of Jack and Renee causes Dubaku to cancel the attack, which ends up, stopping the attempted chemical plant overload, meaning that the plant manager's efforts were ultimately for nothing, but that's nobody's fault. At the time, he was doing what he had to do, so, yeah. So he disengages the device just as Jack and Renee and Bill and Tony all attack. And they end up killing a bunch of people. They end up destroying the CIP device, so hooray. They save the Matobos, and it looks like the day is won. I mean, I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. I know Latham, the guy who built the CIP device, ended up being used as a suicide bomber, and he died, so that kind of sucks, even though we didn't know him that well. But there was it's like everything in this scene worked for them. I was waiting for something to fail, like they'd get away with the CIP device, or Matobo's wife would get shot. But no, it looked like everything was going smoothly. The only thing that didn't go was Dubaku got away. Other than that, everything worked. They got the Matobos out of there, the CIP device got destroyed, but Matobo escaped. Meanwhile, at the White House, there's a controversy going on about the first gentleman and his aide, that they can't seem to locate them. They're not answering their phones because one's dead and the other's unconscious or whatever. So there's a bunch of controversy going on about that. They're talking about this chemical attack. They're wondering why the hell it got canceled in the middle of it, because there was, as far as they know, there's no explanation for it. So there's a lot of stuff flying around, and I'm starting to think about that guy. The guy who played the warden in Shawshank, one of the guys in the presidential cabinet. I can't remember his damn name, but you guys know who I'm talking about. I'm wondering if that guy might end up being a bad guy. The good thing about 24 right now is, thanks to what they did with that Secret Service agent who ended up being a bad guy, I suspect everybody now. Or rather, I don't trust anybody. So if that ends up happening, I'm not going to be too surprised. I'm starting to suspect it. Just a feeling I have. Anyway, as for the first gentleman, he finally wakes up and hold on one second. He wakes up, he's a little confused, he doesn't really know what to do, and he actually ends up getting captured by a guy who was working with the Secret Service agent that he ended up killing. He gets captured by this much, literally. He's trying to pull a gun out, and he gets knocked away at the last second, so it's very close. And Dubaku and this new guy that showed up that, captured the first gentleman, they call and say, bring him to me, I need a trading chip because all this crap is not working. I don't have the CIP device, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have this. But if I have the first gentleman, I have something I can bargain with. So he's bringing the first gentleman to Dubaku. And the end of this episode is weird because it's like, it reminded me of a Dave Chappelle skit. It's like Dubaku goes to this apartment and waits there for a second, and then his girlfriend shows up, and then they start talking. She calls him a different name. I can't remember what the name was. And it was weird. I kept telling my dad at the time when we were watching it, this is like a Chappelle skit. I hope this is going somewhere, but I didn't like it. Meanwhile, Jack and Renee decide to organize a conversation with the president through Matobo because they figure they can trust the president, but they don't want to trust anyone else. So they get through to the president and discuss a direct exchange of conversation. And things are looking good. I know that obviously the next episode, the main plot point is going to be the kidnapping of the first gentleman and how that affects everything. And there's going to be a conversation between Jack and the president, which I'm very excited to see. And I've kept this going on long enough. So, see you guys later. On the whole, I thought this episode was really good until the Dave Chappelle-esque skit thing at the end. So, see you guys later.